Good day, Dr. Sulaiman. In this slide, we're gonna present the research methodology. Our topic is budgetary system in the transformation of Malaysian public sector. The group members are Dayang Suaryani, Ratin Azrin, Ferskalin, Nur Afifa, Nur Amira Anisha, and Shanul Faiza. I am Friskalin and I will start the presentation with the introduction. Chapter 3 of research is discussing the research methodology employed to conduct the research about budgetary system in the transformation of Malaysian public sector. Also, it provides detailed description of the method used. Meanwhile, the research methodology is defined as the systematic techniques that will assist and guide the researcher on how the research will be conducted. Overall, this chapter comprises 8 sections. First and foremost, it started with the introduction by Ferskalin, then the discussion of the research methods and design will take place by Nur Amira Anisha. Afterwards, it's followed by the research participants and population by Dayang Suryani. Next, Nur Afifa will discuss the sampling, and the technique of analyzing the data will be covered by Firatin Azrin and Shanul Faiza. Finally, the last section will be the summary of this chapter will be presented by Friskalin.
My name is Nur Amira Anisha binti Ayat alias Hayat. I will be presenting research method and research design. The design of this research was primarily quantitative in nature using questionnaires. For the purpose of this study, organizations from 3 central government organizations which include the ministries, departments, and statutory bodies are selected. The questionnaire contains in total of 43 questions. We will be using Likert scale questions with 7-point scale to increase the granularity by giving more choices to the respondent, allowing for better decision making. In terms of administration, questionnaires are personally sent and collected by the researcher to and from the organizations. For organizations in distant places, such as in different states, questionnaires will be mailed out to increase response rate and the speed of response. The study used a descriptive survey research design that aimed to examine the impact of the budgetary system in the transformation of the Malaysian public sector. Descriptive survey is a quantitative research method that seeks to collect quantifiable information for the statistical analysis of the population sample. Typically, the goal is to describe a population in terms of key variable to establish the relationship between the variables. One of the advantages of this type of research design is that it is easy to understand.
Next, research participant. The target participant is the person that have potential to involve in the budgetary system. It is conducted among the agencies and departments under the Federal Ministry in Malaysia, including of Chief Secretary of each the ministry, Directors General from each department, and Chief Executive, a General Manager in the statutory body. The study is solely an examination of budgeting system that had been focused for detail in the line of item requirements of ministry and government agencies. It is to help the management department for better decision to achieve the government objective on allocate the resource among alternative methods. The budgetary system used by the target participant to formulate a different approach can attract considerable public attention to manage the public finance more efficiently. It is important to the management of the government in decision of the budget system to determine the public opinion view in each society. Next, research population. The intended population of this study is the whole Malaysian public sector who working full-time, which are identified as those officers that are affected due to the budgetary system. The public sector is a sector that is liable ensuring they have an efficient, effective, and economically utilize the public fund or resources in order to achieve the government objectives. They had to be transformed due to the lack of information disclosure that is insufficient to the wider public. They have expectation to work hard to meet the public expectation in the transformations to stay relevant in the Malaysian political landscape. The study tries to explore the effect of Malaysian public sector transformation for its use of the fund and results of their action by electorate, legislature, and the judiciary in Malaysia. This population should be aware of the importance of the effectiveness budgetary system that will improve the quality of the system itself. This population is changing or initiating in order of the budgetary system reform to achieve the expected improvement and objectives in the performance. This population is in globalization demands in budgetary system is increasing. It should enhance the effectiveness and efficiency to adapt in a highly creative and innovative to maintain the competitive advantage.
I am Nora Binti Azmi will present the research sampling. The primary objective of conducting a research sampling is to acquire a representative sample or a small collection of cases from a larger population. The first step in the sampling process is to determine the target population, which defined as the specific pool of cases that researchers want to study. In this study, the target population is the whole Malaysian public sector that has been affected by transformation of the budgetary system that enable the public sector to effectively contribute the services in harmonizing citizen well-being. Next, sampling frame is related to a list of the actual cases or unit from which the sample will be drawn with appropriate contact information. In this study, the sampling frame may be a listing of the organization under the public sector, including ministers, departments, and statutory bodies that will be affected by the evolution of the budgetary systems. Choosing appropriate sampling techniques is to assist the researchers to come up with a reliable data collection. In this study, stratified sampling technique under probability sampling has been used. Stratified sampling technique is when the research population is divided into subgroups or strata. Subgroup or strata is a natural set of items and could be dependent on examples of company size, occupation, or gender. The absolute size of the sample selected. The study will consist of a sample size of 94 number of respondents under a total number of 131 organizations to represent the whole population. The total number of the organization is limited to 24 federal ministers, 72 departments, and 35 statutory bodies in Malaysia. Then the selection of the organization will be divided into categories of respondents' employment, includes Director General, Chief Executives, Secretary General, Deputy Director General, Admin and Finance Director, Director of Corporate or Planning, and Senior General Managers.
I am Shanur Faiza Binti Ahmad will present the first part of data analysis. In this research, statistical package for social science will be used. SPSS will be used to code the response derived from the questionnaire. SPSS is very user-friendly and it is possible to perform different statistical tests using this program. SPSS also possible to perform a perfect frequency analysis and provides comprehensive output. The first analysis is factor analysis. The factor analysis is referring to an analysis that determines the construct validity of the survey items. It was employed by using the maximum likelihood estimation procedure. In addition, it will help in measuring the consistency of the data. Therefore, in this research, factor analysis is used to measure the consistency of the data that were collected. The next analysis is reliability analysis. Reliability analysis is important in determining the degree of measurement error present in any measure. It will ensure that the measurement of various items is consistent in the instrument across time. Next, the multiple items will be summarized to form the total scores. Hence, in this research, Cronbach's alpha will be used to calculating the reliability of the data. Cronbach's alpha is used to determine the accuracy of measurement scale. According to Sekaran and Bugi, they stated that the reliability of the measure is higher if Cronbach's alpha is closer to 1. However, if Cronbach's alpha is 0.6, it will be considered as poor, where 0.7 is acceptable and 0.8 can be categorized as good. Even though they have differing opinions of the levels of acceptance have been recommended, it is widely accepted that alpha of 0.7 and above is appropriate. Therefore, in this research, the Cronbach's alpha of 0.7 and above will indicate that the reliability of the questions in this research is excellent.
Firatin will continue present data analysis part. The third factor is descriptive analysis. Descriptive analysis is used to simplify large amount of data. The descriptive analysis is usually used to provide the mean and standard deviation value. It can be measured by looking at the mean score rating. In this research, the high mean result of descriptive analysis indicate that the variable are giving high relationship regarding the budgetary system in transformation of Malaysian public sector. Moving on, correlation analysis. Correlation analysis defines coefficient of correlation as the measure for quantifying the variable's degree of relationship. In this research, the application of Pearson's simple linear correlation are mainly taken into account. Pearson correlation coefficient is a dimensionless measure which determines a linear relation between two variables. Therefore, in this research of budgetary system in Malaysian public sector, A value of correlation coefficient of +1 indicates a perfect positive relationship, -1 indicates a perfect negative, while 0 indicates no relationship between the variables that are developed to measure the strength of a linear association between variables in this research. Lastly, multiple regression analysis. Multilinear regression are the regression models consist of one dependent variable and more than one independent variables with several main assumptions that need to be considered, such as outlier and multicollinearity. In this research, multiple regression analysis is used for evaluating the relationship between the dependent variable and the independent variables of budgetary system in Malaysian public sector. In order to predict the dependent variable, multiple independent variables are chosen to predict the dependent variable.
I am Friskalin and I will proceed with the summary of this chapter. To summarize, this chapter discusses the research methodology to study the budgetary system and the transformation of the public sector in Malaysia. It used a quantitative research approach, for instance the questionnaires, and the descriptive survey is used as the research design. The target participants are Chief Secretary for each ministry, Director General for each department, and Chief Executives or General Manager for each statutory body. Next, the target population are Malaysian public sector that comprises of ministries, departments, and statutory bodies. 94 respondents are used as a sample size under the 131 selected Malaysian public sector organizations. Lastly, the computer software named Statistical Package for Social Science is used for data analysis.